All right, good evening. Welcome to episode of Old Reader, New Reader. Today we have we've been graced with
Thank
Tina's
you.
presence. This month Omar and Amanda are taking a little
Hiatus.
Old Reader, New Reader vacay. Amanda's got some personal life stuff she's working on. So like her husband's home, so she's spending time with him.
I mean, like, fair enough. Her husband's home. That's
Yeah, she should. And Omar's working on some other things, so I'm in charge this month.
That sounds dangerous.
I chose the books, and so Tia's been like gracious enough to join me today. So I was looking at like what we had to read, and I remember that Tina's read all of Promised Neverland, which means you'll be the old reader technically for this.
Yeah.
And I'd only watched the anime, and I had not read the manga.
So you have watched the anime?
Yeah.
Well, sweet.
So for those at home, the anime is on Netflix, so you can watch the Promised Neverland on Netflix. And as far as reading the manga, I read what I could until I hit the chapter cap
on Shonen Jump.
On Shonen Jump, which
what's the chapter cap? 100?
You can only read 100 chapters a day on Shonen Jump.
So she read 100 chapters.
Yeah.
In a day.
So I read like 45 last night. Because I knew that I was not going to hit it all, and then I read another 100 today, and then they were like, "Hey, you've got to stop." And I was like, "What the hell, Shonen Jump? I would like to keep reading, thank you, but is what it is." But yeah, I do recommend everyone, like, if you are interested in reading this or interested in reading other manga, the Shonen Jump app is super worth it. It's like what, $2.99 a month?
Yeah, it's $2.99. It's cheaper than a lot of things. Like, it's definitely cheaper than buying Starbucks for me.
Yeah. It is such a good deal. I every time I talk about the Shonen Jump app, all I can say is, one, I love it. I love the interface. Two, like, so much is offered on it, and also I wish that all manga publishers did this.
Mm-hmm.
It would make me so happy.
They're expanding their backlog too, which is great. Yeah. Like, you can go back and read some of the older stuff. I think, does Viz have something similar to it now?
Well, Viz owns Shonen Jump.
Okay, but have they expanded their? I wish, and I hope
not
that they
I've seen yet. I hope that they do, because since Shonen Jump is tied with Viz here in the States, it would make sense for them to also do something similarly. But I don't know.
I'm sad that it's just shonen, essentially.
Yeah.
I want more. I definitely want more. So if you're listening out there, Shonen Jump, Viz, can you hook us up?
Yeah, also trying to if I could get sponsored by Shonen Jump just to talk about the app, I would. Same with DC Universe. I love both those apps. I think they're great. Mm-hmm. Hey, Steve. What up, ladies? Hope you're both well and as stress-free as possible, all things considered.
Yeah, when Maddie was like, "Hey, you want to do this?" and I was like, "Hey, well, should we read something, sort of like more political themed? Is there a good political book?" And she was like, "Well, let's do Promise Neverland." I was like, "Yeah, that works."
Yeah. So, and I was like, let's keep, because, there's questions like, should we even have a show tonight? And I was like, I don't want to think about the U.S. election at all. So, like, of course, let's have a show. That's great. Well, Matthew's jealous of your glasses, by the way.
Thank you. They're actually UV reactive. They're kid glasses, but that's okay. They get dark green, so they're really cool. They're Gwen Stefani, so she has a glasses line.
So let's get into it, I guess. So we're talking about the Promised Neverland. Again, if people join late, you can watch the anime on Netflix. It's only one season so far, but it gives you the first smaller chunk of the manga.
It dives in pretty good.
It dives in, yeah. And all the manga is on the Shonen Jump app. Now, we are not going to give a huge detailed look into this. I'm not going to give you a huge play-by-play.
A little bit, like, if you're interested in the anime, we will spoil you a little bit, because that's basically the whole premise of what it is. So if you haven't seen it yet, I'm sorry. It's been out for a while. It's already breached its 30-day mark. So spoilers, guys, but it's a little old at this point.
Yeah, and very minimal, honestly, because the manga is 181 chapters.
Yes.
I've read 140 so far in the past couple of days.
I haven't read the 181.1, that little like blurb that came out recently, but I've read 181. So I am finished basically.
Yeah, and it's done, which is great too, because there's a lot of manga that you and I both like that are not done.
No.
And will not be done for a very long time.
Well, I mean, he says he's 75% done.
We'll see, Oda. So yeah, so the Promised Neverland, it centers around this orphanage at the beginning. And we are given 3 main characters, as well as some other children there as well. So you've got these, they are basically the smartest of their school.
Well, and we should know, which leads into more later, they are the oldest 3. So we have Emma, we have Norman, and we have Ray.
Yeah. So you've got these, and they're an interesting crew, because you have Emma, who is kind of the one you spend the most time with, really. And she's the most optimistic of the 3. She's very smart, and she's the type that's like, it's all of us or it's none of us.
Right.
Basically.
She's very caring. Like, she is almost like, outside of Mother, which is another character, she is essentially a very motherly, like caring type of character. And you instantly sort of connect, if you're that type of person, to that character.
I love her.
She's so cute. It reminds me of what was it? Princess Tutu.
Yeah, well, the hair.
Yeah.
And you've got Ray, who is also incredibly intelligent, very strategic. But he's more
Sasuke?
Yeah, he's more like, well, I don't even want to say Sasuke, really, because he's
withdrawn.
He's very pessimistic. He's very withdrawn, but he feverishly loves his friends. And he is emotional in a different way, where he is just more like standoffish.
You find out why. You really do find out. And I don't want to spoil too much, but you kind of find out why he's a little bit pulled back, because he knows things.
Yeah, and then finishing off the trio is Norman, who is a genius. Very calm, very reserved. And again, like the other 2, is so like loving and protective of his friends. So that's your trio. Now, the stage that we have is, not only is this an orphanage, but it's a bit interesting because they have not left the orphanage. They only live here. And once you reach a certain age, you are sent out. And this orphanage is led by a character called Mother.
Not even a certain age. It's kind of like, if you don't meet the learning requirements or the skill level, then you are sent out. If you age out, or if you are not performing as well.
Yeah. So yeah, that's sort of the situation where they test a lot. They are raised by this mother figure. They all call her Mother. And they do things like play tag a lot, and they kind of take care of one another, and all have their own responsibilities. But something happens where one of the kids has been adopted, and they want to return something to her. And when they go to do that, they see that she's dead. And not only dead, but they see there are demonic creatures there too, talking about eating her. So it's then that they learn that they're not at a school. They are at a school, but it's a farm.
They're not essentially at a real orphanage. People are not going to adopt them. I mean, they will adopt them onto their dinner plates. Yeah.
And so they figure out there's demons outside. They're at a farm, and that's when they concoct their plan to get out of there. So that is my, at the smallest, summary look at what that is.
And that's really just the anime. That's the point to where the anime ends. The manga encompasses a little bit more. Do we want to get a little bit more past that?
I think we can talk about it very slightly. So this is, this is something akin to other like dystopia stories. I feel like this is the kind of story you would see in a lot of like YA novels in the US. Like The Hunger Games or Uglies or Battle Royale, which is not US, but where you get a small part of the picture, and you only know as much as these kids know. They've been raised this whole like this their whole life, thinking that the outside world is the regular human world that you and I know, and they find out that it's not. And so it's just like there is.
But there's hints. What's really fun is, and what's really enjoyable in this manga is that there are hints very early on that something is not right. Whether the books that they're reading, there's little clues dropped and hidden here and there that makes you appreciate it. And if you go back, you can see those and you can pick those up. So there are some subtle hints that things just are a little bit off and a little bit weird, even before you realize there's demons and there's this whole world outside of the farm or the orphanage.
Yeah, like at its heart, it's a survival story.
Right.
It's a survival story with a mystery because at some point, of course, they get off of the farm and they have to survive. And their ultimate goal is to get their entire group, their family from their school and other farms, all these kids saved and out to a regular human world.
Because you find out there's other farms, there's other experimental farms going on. And at first, you are essentially learning what the kids are learning at almost basically real time for them. So you at first are just like, okay, the enemy, they're the demons. But then there's other parties at play, each wanting their own interesting dynamic within this world. Because you think that this one guy's kind of an ally, and then you find out later he's maybe not as much as an ally. And even your own species, your own human species may not actually be allied to you. Not every human is looking out for your best interest. Yeah. And that's where I really love, I guess, the meat of this manga is specifically the dynamics of the mothers in this, the people who look after the kids in the farms or the orphanages. Their character dynamic is crazy, especially in the end. And Maddie, I don't want to spoil you on this because
spoil me or anybody.
Some of my favorite interactions and sort of ideology like floating around in the manga is this training, the training of the mothers and kind of what they have to go through in this sort of weird Freudian, what is that? The syndrome where you're kind of coerced in something, but you evolve and actually you end up doing it yourself. Like you only like harbor the same things because that's how you have to survive in this world.
Yeah. I think that's what's so fun about it too, is like what I really enjoyed about this series, it was just like the constant learning new things. And just when you think you have an idea of what's going on, you don't.
Right.
It's so much more complicated than it looks. And I always love series like this. They're so easy to get into, especially right now. Like, the good thing about Promised Neverland is that you're immediately in. Mm-hmm. You can immediately get like drawn in and want to keep reading. Like I would have read all of it today if I didn't have a 100-chapter cap because I just needed to know. And it's you can read it as quickly or as slowly as you want. There's a ton you can pick up on. There's a ton of great characters that you meet along the way. A lot of it sticks together. Not so much Stockholm. Steve, sorry.
No, it's okay.
It's something similar to where like, if you look at something like The Handmaid's Tale, or you look at just historical, or just history in general, when you have, either like marginalized populations that are given like places of leadership that just perpetuate the whole the indoctrination.
Right. The whole indoctrination. So it is definitely Stockholm syndrome, but it actually just the way it envelops the world, it goes far beyond that to be like very systematic and bred into the system that you're just creating more and more of, like-minded individuals that are struggling, wanting to stay alive, but also having to in turn destroy themselves.
Yeah. So there's that's a quick and dirty of that one, but I'm curious to hear about what you think about like the art or
I really enjoyed the art. Hands down, it's phenomenal. I mean, I love manga, and the artist is no exception to this rule. Like detailed little bits. I enjoy going back and kind of looking at some of the background. One of the latest chapters when coronavirus was starting, like in it shows little snippets of human world later on, and spray paint on the wall is like something about the corona. Actually, it's that.
Oh, that's cool.
And that was actually kind of cool that they were tying in recent events into this manga, and it was just a quick little snippet just in the background, but I love when mangakas like throw in little bits like that, so it really does tie in the current world. Now in the future it may not be current for them, but it's current at the time.
What a bummer for those kids if they all get out and it's like, oh, there's a world pandemic, so sorry.
Hey guys, I know you survived this, but let's throw some more stuff at you.
Right. Yeah, I really liked the art. I really thought I appreciate how consistent it was. Especially as like, because you're there with these characters for a long time. They do grow up in front of you.
Especially Norman. Like, I think that was the only thing that was a little bit weird about this. I don't think they treated Emma like Emma didn't grow as much.
I thought she looked like she grew
a little bit, but I don't
talk about Norman. Tina,
why?
You know why?
I didn't really say anything. I just said that Norman grew a little bit more. That's it. There's no spoilers.
That's a spoiler. If you had told me that yesterday, I would have been mad at you.
They don't know. Shush.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Disregard that. There would be some spoilers. But you were talking about how they grew up, so
I meant the other ones. Anyways. Yeah, but I appreciate how consistent it was throughout with the art. Because so there's some manga, even some of my favorite mangaka, like Chris and I are really huge Naoki Urasawa fans. But even who's a very talented artist, some of his characters tend to look the same. And
three faces.
I could very easily get through everybody else. Anime or the manga, I like the anime season 1, but the manga gets terrible after that. And by the end, I just bad. We're talking about the manga. Personally, I've really enjoyed the manga so far. Tina has finished. I haven't finished yet. But when I watched the anime, I wasn't super into it. And I think that's because it was overhyped for me. So when I got into it, I was like, oh, this is fine. I was like, this is anything new, is how I felt. I liked it a lot more as we went and more of the world building was given and more of the mysteries were given to us. So I enjoyed the anime, but I didn't like as much as I like the manga. But that's because of how much is here. Too much plot armor in the manga. I mean, true.
There's a lot to digest in the manga. But I actually really enjoyed, I guess, the use of the plot armor because for some of them, there's not enough, I feel like. There's not enough plot going on. So I think a little plot heavy and a little everybody has their strings in motion actually was kind of refreshing and nice.
Steve said I've never read Promised Neverland, but from what little art I've seen, I thought it was a cutesy series. Boy, was I wrong.
This was one of my favorite TikToks too, is like, yeah, my friends are like, oh, anime's just, for kids. And then I showed them Promised Neverland. Gotcha.
Yeah, and Omar always tells that story about how he bought Promised Neverland for one of his girls.
Right.
And I think it was just a cutesy manga. And she brought it back to him. It was one of like the beginning scenes where you see the dead kid. And she's like, I don't think I'm supposed to read this. He's like, oh yeah, shit. Whoops. Like,
that's Omar. Don't let Omar parental advise things for your kids.
Thank you, Chandasuk.
Yes. If you're just joining us, welcome to Near Mint Condition. Please hit that subscribe button. Normally we talk, Omar's usually here on Old Reader, New Reader, and he does a lot of comicology, speaks about comics, and he's usually here with Wonder Maddie. I'm a guest, technically.
Although you're welcome to join any of these this month, Tina.
Of course.
So the only problem with this is that because it's so long, there's only so much we can really cover and dive into. Because I don't want to spoil it for everybody. Unlike some of the other series we talk about, when we really go through, and there's a lot here. I couldn't even.
I will spoil you guys.
We would be here for like hours if I had to tell you all about Promise Neverland. But yeah, I really liked it. I guess we could do our ratings, which will be super early, but we can chill. I guess.
Super early.
I know.
We're 20 minutes in, and Maddie's like, okay, guys, the election's on. Let's give our ratings.
No, I'm not looking at that. Let's just keep hanging out. It's fine. I guess we could talk about some any similar series recommendations based on this, because I think that's sometimes what's missing in old reader, new reader, or reviews, is that, you know, there's not like a, hey, if you liked this, then this, or if, hey, if you like this, you'll like Promise Neverland.
Dystopian worldview.
Yeah.
Now you've put me on the spot, Maddie. You're like,
oh, well, I think there's a lot of young adult stuff that mirrors this. So like the 100 on CW, there's a lot of like CW teen shows that I think kind of work alongside this, where you're given a small picture of a thing. You're sitting around a small group of people whose world, who are humans, right? It came from our world, but their reality is different, and they figure out why and what the restrictions are. So things like the Hunger Games, which I like the books and not the movies. Battle Royale, I said before, the 100, the Uglies, which is a series that I really loved.
Yeah, I read the Uglies. That was good.
And that's still not a movie or a show. Can you believe that? They made everything else and not Uglies.
Well, I thought they were getting a...
I don't know. Things like Maze Runner. I don't know why I can only think of young adult stuff. I'm trying to think of other anime that's like this.
Well, I was trying to think of manga, and there's one, and I can't think of the name right now, where it's a very dystopian, like there's this weird genetic thing. They're kind of like cryo-froze, and this girl's twin, they switch places and stuff. But it's a very dystopian, and I'll eventually think about it. It's something with Rose in the title.
Okay. I guess Dr. Stone can be considered similar, but it's a little different. It's similar in the vein that you were left with a big mystery and a question that's going to get more complicated as you go through it. Because Dr. Stone, it's one of those, everyone got turned to stone. This guy wakes up thousands of years in the future, wants to like cure everybody, has to figure out why they got turned to stone in the first place. And it's one of those, like, you think you have an idea of what's happened, but you don't really. Thank you, Jack. I appreciate it. People at work make fun of me because they have a normal setup and I have a, I guess, gamer setup. And so people are like, oh, what? Are you like an air traffic control person or something? And they're like, hey, I really like your chair. And I'm like, if it was mentioned, I missed it, but is it still going? How many volumes? I don't know how many volumes. I know it's 181 chapters. Not all the volumes are released yet here, from what I know. But you can read it all on Shonen Jump app.
And it has ended. So it is over. So it is complete on Shonen Jump, the app, which is what I use. But yeah, I'm not sure if they've released everything. Oh. Thank you for the super chat. There you go.
Joe, are you the same guy that messaged me on Instagram? Thank you for the super chat, though.
Oh no! Oh, by the end of the manga, I hated Emma. She became very annoying. I'm interested. You're definitely hating on Promise Neverland, the manga, at the end. Like, I'm interested to see why. Because although there were parts that I did feel that Emma sort of became this sort of like omnipotent, like almost a little too much knowing, because Norman's supposed to be that all-knowing kind of like, I'm very smart. They're all actually very, very smart, but I can kind of see that a little bit, but I don't feel like she was annoying. I think they just gave her a little too much credit, but I had no problem with it. I think it was less so than some manga where the main, I mean, Luffy's kind of the same
Luffy's
way.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you like Luffy, then you really actually should like Emma, because they kind of have the same vein. Yeah. And people would probably argue with me on that, but they are really from the same vein. It's just presented a little bit differently.
Mm-hmm. Oh, thank you. I just want to pop in and say both you're awesome. Have a great evening. You too.
Thank you.
Jack says he's happy that he's 16 minutes after vote. It's stressful. I voted. Does my vote count? I'm in Kentucky, so probably no. But I did anyways.
The way I look at it is, knowing who I know, I canceled out one of their votes. And that in of itself makes me happy.
Yeah.
If I can like cancel out like my dad's vote, then we all good, guys.
You said I hate them 27 responsibilities. I hate that I'm 29 responsibilities.
38 responsibilities, man. Home ownership. Maddie. It's fun.
Girl, we'll have to talk about that after, because I should have had my house last week.
Oh.
I think the manga lost its way to Emma was too much. We'll have to see when I catch up how I feel about it.
We'll see how Maddie feels. And I don't think it lost its way. I think it had a point. It kind of meandered just a little bit, but I think it got there. And I actually really, really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I'm about chapter oh wait, I have my thing open. 145.
Okay, so you're almost
is where I stopped. So I'll probably finish that tomorrow while I'm working. If you are my boss and you are watching this, no, you aren't. No, we're November. That's true.
That is very true.
I'm in charge. Too powerful. I chose all the books.
I'll cosplay as Omar. Like, we should all do that one day. But Omar doesn't have like anything super distinguishing.
Tight t-shirts.
The tight t-shirt. I could wear.
I mean, it's true. He knows it's true.
He does. Although I've made the mistake of buying him too tight of a t-shirt. And he was like, next time, buy me a medium. I'm like, sir, you should be wearing a large.
Teenagers are 30s. Wow, everybody's fooled. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I'm 38. I'm almost 40.
I know. It's crazy.
I'm just a few years younger than Omar.
So let's go ahead. We'll do the rating and then we'll talk about the other stuff coming out we're reviewing this month. Tina.
Yes.
Out of 10. What'd you think?
Out of 10. It is not my absolute favorite, but it does rank fairly highly. Are we giving it solids and no points?
Oh, you can give points. It's like what is it? Whose line is it anyway? The points are really made up. They're made up and they don't matter.
Right. It's somewhere between about a 7 to 7.5. That means for me, it is solid, but it's not going to be something that I will constantly bring up as so amazing that I will, absolutely run out and collect it. So it's something I really enjoy. I would go back and read, and that's probably why I give it the 7. I would go back and read it again, and I would enjoy it each time because I've picked up a little bit, because I've gone back and read a few chapters just to make sure, because I was like, oh, didn't this happen in this chapter? Let me refresh, and I've enjoyed it. So the readability and rereadability for me is a bonus.
Yeah, I would give it an 8 so far, where I'm at right now. Now, that could change based on the ending, because I'm big on endings for a lot of things. Like, I loved Erased up until the ending. So it would have been a 10 for me until I got to the ending now. And
amazing. And then they would have to be like, nah, man.
Yeah,
and
no.
I hate it here.
Yeah, exactly. And so
that one, I would say, I was completely blown away by what they were doing, and then they ruined it.
I think One Piece is going to be something very similar. Now, I trust Oda to make the right decision. Right now, One Piece is a 10 for me. I love One Piece, but
he did say, which I was waiting for it. It's not friendship. Yeah. It's not an abstract thought.
Yeah.
And I was like, thank you for doing this, because if it was something hokey like that, I would be like, well, the One Piece is in us all. I'd be like, oh.
I wish we had enough people in the like subscribers that were caught up on One Piece. They could just do a One Piece discussion. It'd be jump on Discord and talk about One Piece with Maddie and Tina. I thought Maddie was 25 and Tina was like 28. Thank you. Tina the Ageless. And you get bonus and you get bonus. This is your boss. Continue reading manga. My boss would probably not say that, but she doesn't know I'm a nerd. She really appreciates me.
Maddie really holds that nerd in.
I do. You would not know in real life.
I cannot have a real conversation with people unless it's about nerd topics. And I think Maddie could vouch for this. Like, if you see me standing in a crowd, I am not going to talk to you unless you bring up a nerd subject, and then I'm your best friend. I'm like, hey, guys.
That's how we met, How often do you guys go live? So I'm here every Tuesday at 8 without fail. Except for last weekend. But I'm here every Tuesday at 8. Tina, if she's free this week and wants to read more, she may join me again. But yeah.
Just tell me in advance and I'll read it. I just have to get my grubby little hands on it one way or another.
Yeah, and I can make that happen. Mad World 935. Anime 9 out of 10, manga 4 out of 10. I do want to say that I really appreciate your icon though, because I love that anime a lot. Magi.
Okay, yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love Magi.
Magical Labyrinth.
Oh my gosh.
Now that's something.
And I love Sinbad too. Oh, it's like I'm caught up on the anime, but so good. Man, I've been getting in a manga anime groove lately, and it's been worth it. There's something just nice about it.
It's a little bit. There's a big difference between comics and manga, and I know exactly the feeling, and I can't quite put it to words. Like, although there are substantial topics, they're essentially dealing with similar veins. The approach to it is a little bit different, and I find it just a little bit refreshing for me. That's my taste. Manga's my taste.
Well, and you and I both grew up on it, too.
Well, I grew up on comics.
Oh, okay. So I grew up on manga. So for me,
manga's
like my default. It's like it's homey, it's relaxing, it's comforting.
Right.
Maddie and Tina are immortal because they read manga. Scientific fact. Man, I hope so. Let your inner Hime out in public. I can't. I hide that shit.
She does, and she hides it well. Like, I'll start to say something in a normal public setting sometimes, and she'll be like, I've seen her.
You should see me in Japan, even. I'm just like,
she'd be like,
we don't talk about this here. Maddie, we're in Japan. No. Only when we're in Akihabara. Okay. And then we go to Akihabara, we're like, look at all this stuff. Giant Luffy statue. Man.
Oh, man. I miss.
Can everybody just wear their masks, please? So this can be done, and we can go back to Japan, because Tina and I are supposed to go in March.
Right.
And, last time we went, we didn't take a lot of video stuff. Now, I now have, like, the hookup. We could take video while we're there. And actually share the weave.
Final Fantasy store.
Well, except for the Final Fantasy store. But everywhere else, we could do that.
Right.
I look like a suave villain in the black sweater and sipping wine. I was really tired.
She was like, I need to get my wine for this. Maybe this will loosen me up. And here I am with my Wendy's.
I'm jealous of your Wendy's, honestly.
Well, it's a little bit of regret.
Yeah, well, it's a rough time, right? What are you gonna do? Oh, so Tina, I should tell you what I'm doing the rest of the month. Let me look it up because I've already forgotten.
Already forgotten, guys. Oh, that's how I feel. Like, you ask me for a name, like, this is why I love Omar. You could be like, hey, Omar, do you remember this thing? I can explain completely about it, but I have no idea what chapter, who wrote it or whatever. And Omar's like, here you go. There you go. There you go.
Oh, yeah. I
don't have that memory.
Working memory. So next week, on the 10th, we'll be back talking about Abbott and Moonshine. Abbott's one I wanted to read a long time. It's about a Black female detective. I think she's gay too. I'm not sure. But she's like a PI. And that looks really cool. It's by Saladin Ahmed, I'm a big fan of. And Moonshine, which is supposed to be like Appalachian werewolf or something. But I've heard that's bad. So we'll see. But if you want to join in on that one, Lee is joining. He's going to be my guest. If anyone remembers, he was a guest in July during Superman Smashes the Klan. So he'll be here.
Yeah, I would love to join you guys.
The 17th will be the Patreon pick. So if you guys are on Patreon, subscribe to our Patreon. I think it's a lower rank that you have to subscribe to, but you can vote for our Patreon pick. So I chose, selfishly, Gail Simone. So basically, you can choose between one of three Gail Simone series that I have not read that I want to read, which is Wonder Woman, Secret Six, or Birds of Prey. I also chose these because I bought a house to save money.
You loaded it.
And they're all on DC Universe. So that helps me out. And Kristen, my co-host from Fangirls Assemble, will be on that show. And on the 24th, we're reading Critical Role Vox Machina Origins, Volume 1 and 2. That's by Dark Horse. It is the comic that is the prequel to the Critical Role podcast. Mm-hmm. And we've got a special guest that day, which is Elliot, who is my husband.
That's great. He agreed to do a show?
He agreed. Can you believe that?
It's going to be puntastic, guys.
He has avoided being on this show for so long. But I've convinced him. So. Comics can be ongoing and going and going. And manga are like illustrated novels with a definite ending, unless you're Berserk. Or Hunter x Hunter.
Well, I mean, there's reasons for Hunter x Hunter.
Yeah, I know he's got back problems, but just give it to your wife. Just tell your wife the story and have her illustrate it. Your wife is Naoko Takeuchi.
She is learning his art style to continue it for
That's love.
That is absolute love.
Yeah. I need Hunter x Hunter to be done. I've needed it to be done. Or at least just consistent in any way possible, please. Just something. Hey, Lionheart. What is up?
Jinx.
Special guest her husband. He gets to be Gus before her dog. How is this fair? You know, Michael. My dog has been on this show. He's been in videos. He's here. And I did leave him out because I realized, because this mic I have, I can't adjust the audio gain. I'm going to upgrade once I move. Yeah, you can hear him. I didn't realize until he was like picking up on like Zoom calls. So my boss would be like, "Was that your dog?" Like,
is your husband underneath your table? The gross. Sorry.
Birds of Prey is fire, but Secret Six gets downright filthy at times. Well, that's going to be interesting to read. I have heard interesting things about like Birds of Prey art. Because it's very of the time. So some of it you're like,
oh, okay.
But I can handle that stuff. It's when that stuff comes out today, I'm like, there's no excuse. But when it's of the time, I'm like, it's okay. They all felt like they had to do nipples that way, you know?
Just, oh man, you know let me tell you.
And I like sexy ladies and sexualized art. That's true. I like Sunstone. We all know this.
Well,
but there's a difference.
There's a difference. And there was at least, I will say, at least it's not boulder boobs, where there were like very obviously guys who did not know how to draw women.
You just like Renaissance art or something.
No. Well, I mean, like that was a thing too. Like, but there are some comic artists that just now they're much better. But in the past, sometimes you'd be like, well, that's great. You can definitely draw Conan, but your women just sort of look like they have boulder boobs. Like they just fell out of the sky and perfectly just sort of like landed rock hard there. You know
I've never heard that term. Wow, it got lewd fast. Well, now this doesn't come across here, but with Tina and I in real life, that does happen.
I am TMI Tina.
She is TMI Tina.
So I know it says terrified Tina down here, but I'm
just
terrified because of today.
I've gone in-depth talks about how One Piece doujinshi should be more creative. If anybody wants that, you subscribe to Patreon. Ask for a special drunk video of me talking about how One Piece doujinshi could be more creative.
I'm sure people would pay for us to like drink and have a discussion. You know, and if you want to throw in an occasional Omar, I mean, the things that he says.
We can't air that shit.
We couldn't air that. We could not. Omar would get.
And that's why I said that's to be behind a paywall. People can't know. He should do a light novel. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Also, we need to like. I want to review the Slayer's light novels too.
Oh, that would
really
be
bad. And like I want to read the Shield Hero light novels, but I've committed to the anime now. So
okay, I really want to read it.
Where is Shield Hero? It's a pandemic right now and life is hard. Where's my shield hero? Where's my wife, Raftali?
Well, because it's a pandemic, a lot of studios have kind of done the same thing as a lot of other things and gone on hiatus. So we shall see what gets pushed back.
So apparently Huntress has some crazy crotch shots in the first arc of Birds of Prey. I've heard some horror stories. I had a friend that was like, if Gail Simone's so feminist, why didn't she like tell the artist not to do that? Then she's not feminist. I was like, no, it's a different time. Do you think Gail Simone immediately had like the power in the industry at that time to tell people what she wanted her artists to do? No. Like I was like, I will defend that woman. Okay. Back off. Talking to you guys makes me happy. Michael, talking to you makes me happy. Including this wonderful joke. Can I interest you in my Birds of Prey? My religious book club. Oh, as a Reformed Catholic, I think that's hilarious. Getting you to send me free books, that makes me happy. Not us. I will accept free books. I'm just kidding. I would send it out if shipping didn't cost as much as it did.
We do have a P.O. box.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we do. Can you post that up there? I don't know how to do that. Omar just makes it happen. I don't know.
I do. 1 second. We have a oh fuck. Shit. There we go. We have a P.O. box.
Maddie,
wow, am I a lightweight? What
keep it PG. 13 at least.
We have.
So guys, if you want to send us stuff, which Omar loves to give things away, usually we pay it forward, we send it out, unless you specifically address it and say, hey, I want X to keep this, or this is for this person. Please send us stuff down at Near Mint Condition, P.O. Box 1678, Versailles. Yeah, I know it sounds a little weird, but it's Versailles, Kentucky 40383, guys.
But yeah, we've been getting some really great stuff to do for the giveaway, which I think is awesome. Like how wonderful it really is to like send stuff in for us to give away to other
I've really enjoyed like
you can also just send me stuff.
Just look at Maddie. Look at her. She's like, just send me stuff.
I'm on a buying band.
And you'll be sent something, and then you'll be like, please don't send me stuff.
Please don't send me anything anymore. Only nerds dropping when. We'll see how rough this pandemic gets.
You don't want to see my only nerds, because my only nerds would be like, hey guys, I'm in my PJs. Look at my moo-moo. I have a cat moo-moo. It's great.
There's people into that, Tina.
Really?
I've had so many friends do OnlyFans since the pandemic starts. Like everybody I know has an OnlyFans.
And OnlyFans is not necessarily for raunchy and lewd stuff, but mainly.
Yeah. But I keep it PG-13. I can't, Jack. I'm sorry, you're 16, Jack. I'm so sorry.
Oh, 16's old now.
I won't use the F word anymore. Unless it's an accident. Well, I heard you the Bruce Wayne of this chat. Just bolder poops are boobs too. They're right. Body positivity here.
Oh, I didn't bring up one thing. I did see a TikTok, because I'm always on TikTok. I did see a TikTok about the Promised Neverland today, and it was perfect. Did you ever watch like Chicken Run?
The movie?
Yes, with the chicken thing. They were like, the Promised Neverland is just Chicken Run with people.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And I was just like, that makes too much sense. That's funny, but that makes too much sense.
It's kind of like Matrix adjacent too, in a way.
It you know, later on it does get.
Like, and I feel like there's some other series are like this too, where like the whole farming thing is interesting.
Yeah.
Like, because it's very like, because you have different farms, right? And you've got the ones where like what you would think it would be more like just like they, you know, no brain power. They're just manufactured to be consumed. They're brainless. And then you have the farms where these kids come from, where they're like the cream of the crop and only sent to the best. So it's like your cage-free animals.
The Portlandia. Would you like to read a bio about?
Would you like to know the chicken's interest?
Do you want to know what they were into that you're going to consume?
Yeah.
I mean, that's essentially what it is. It's, and I thought they were going to go like Animal Farm with this, but they kind of went a little different.
Yeah. Americans stressing out about the election. Me stressing out because everyone in the UK sold out of Buffy season 12 library edition on release day last week. Really?
Oh, Hayden, to be Hayden.
Man. I would have just gotten you an extra one.
Oh.
How long have I had that book? That's shitty, Hayden. I'm sorry. I'm ignoring the election because I
already voted. I voted whenever I got my mail-in voter thing. I just made sure to check on the status of it to make sure I didn't have to go in and do the what is it called? That they didn't reject mine because my signature when I first got my license was nice and neat, and now I'm like done.
Oh yeah, mine's a squiggle.
Yeah, it's squiggle.
Yeah, I usually love keeping up with this kind of stuff, but it's too stressful. It doesn't make sense anymore. So even though like my entire like university experience, bachelor's and master's degrees, is adjacent to that, I'm like, no, I will avoid it and I will play Gloomhaven on my computer.
Yeah. Yes, Michael. And if not, I'm going to stress by so many omnibuses. I'm going to stress by some things. And it's going to be crazy. Like, I will.
Oh, if it goes bad, we'll just have like a sad live stream this weekend, like me and Tina just like drunk and like.
I will dress up as that like dog sitting at the fire. Like I will draw my own background and be like, "This is fine.
This is fine.
This is fine. I have my junk, and that's all I need."
Surround me with fictional worlds where everything is okay.
I mean, and people wonder why people do escapism into like, I mean, manga and comics are a valid form of escapism. I mean, it could be worse. We could be doing deadly things.
Jackson, if it goes bad, moving to Canada or the UK. Man, if there wasn't coronavirus, now we're trapped.
I mean, they don't want you. You keep that corona at the border.
Yeah, no, that's my goal eventually, but I have a good job right now, so we'll stay until, the U.S. government decides to shut our office down, which is always almost happening all the time.
I'm just jealous of all my friends that actually made it out. And like, I've got a friend that lives with his husband outside of Manchester, and he's, from the States. He's a good friend, went to high school and stuff. So like, I'm jealous of all these people. He actually works for the BBC. Like, I'm so jealous.
Oh, that's cool. UK here, things are pretty bad here too. Try Germany. Well, and then Tokyo too, like, like I was hearing some horror stories about Shibuya Halloween. And now Halloween at Shibuya is always wild anyways. Mm-hmm. But there were a ton of people with no masks. Like crazy. Crazy.
I questioned my ancestors. Why did they have to move here? Like, oh man.
I mean, it is what it is.
Like, I understand my dad's side, but my mom's side. Why did you move from Switzerland?
Hi, Christine. I came to watch because I'm stress eating and need distraction election results. You're in the right place, Christina.
Hey.
Tina, Christina's my friend in real life now. We haven't met yet because my work has been stupid busy.
Oh, is she local?
No.
Oh.
We have similar careers. Have you been watching or anything else, Tina? What's up? What's new? What's happening?
I pretty much already said that I finished watching Bly and the Haunting.
Good.
Hill House. So I actually watched stuff that was not anime. I mean, be proud of me. It was not anime.
Because usually it's just me that's like, I'm watching all of the shows. And then you're like, I'm watching Toilet Kun.
Like, okay. Toilet Bound. Irumu-kun. Yeah. Yeah, usually I'm like...
Our career's definitely around this election. Christina, they wicked do. It is... I don't know about your place, but like mine's already like, okay, what do we do if the election goes bad? What's our contingency plan? How do we help students' mental health? Like we already made like action plans for either way.
Well, I can't even imagine because yours specifically deals with a certain country, which is kind of in somebody's bad zone.
When the fictional world of children being farmed for me is the sweetest game of reality.
I mean, you aren't wrong.
It really was though. Like I took off yesterday and today, because I already had today off, and I use that to play games and read and watch Charmed, the new one. It's not even that good. It's
Really?
just something.
There's a new Charmed?
Yeah, you didn't know, girl. It's got 2 seasons.
Okay, so my favorite story of my
About your
mom.
mom.
Yes, Maddie already knows this.
It's
So
really
I'm going to tell you guys. So my mom, love her to death. Love her to death. But sometimes, I don't know if this is where I get it from, but sometimes I can't associate whether the story that she's telling me is a real life thing that happened to her or from a show, because she just starts in the middle of something and she talks like it's happened to her. And she was telling the story and I was just like, that is so crazy. And like my wife, she was like, man, that's crazy. And then she started talking about how he did this like thing appeared and stuff like that. And I was like, hold on, wait, this does not happen in reality. And I'm like, okay. And Heather was very smart. She was like, so is this Charmed? Because this sounds like Charmed. And my mom's like, yeah. And then but she just started in the middle of the story like it was real life. And it happened. And it happens all the time. All the time.
Chauncey asked, anything go to HBO Max I should check out? Finish Lovecraft Country. Oh man, probably a lot. I just canceled because I just finished Lovecraft Country and The Vow, and I wasn't watching anything else. I mean, I assume this is where the ADHD kicks in, because I watched a bunch of shows on there and now it's as if they don't exist and never happened. But they're probably there.
Binging. Will I remember the anime I binged last night? Yeah. Yes.
Sam, we were talking about the Promised Neverland, the manga, that we did talk about the anime as well. Mm-hmm. We each, Tina gave it 7, I gave it 8. The new charm that the cast call your race if you don't like it. Yeah, that one. And Matthew said, I love the first episode of Mandalorian season 2. I did also. I really liked it. I
still need to watch it. I need to get somebody's login information again because it updated and I don't have it anymore.
Oh, remind me.
Okay. I'll send you a message.
I will do that. Mom is from Charmed.
Mom is from Charmed.
Okay, so Jack's saying Chernobyl. I did hear that was really good. And maybe when I renew my HBO, I'll check it out.
Yeah, that's one I wanted to watch, but I don't have HBO Max. So
Well, next time I boot it up, I'll let you know so I can give you my login. Oh, Martin just finished reading Uzumaki. Following recommendation was awesome, super creepy. Yay!
Good.
Oh man, I love Uzumaki. So good. I feel like there's something recently I watched that kind of reminded me of like a Junji Ito book, but I can't remember what. But I love anything like that, especially if it's anthology like.
You watched Junji Ito they're coming out with an anime.
Yeah, well they had one before and we're getting another one.
Right. They're doing another one.
The other one wasn't good from what I heard.
It was kind of still it was okay.
Gary Sambert asked, question, that manga app, if you don't use all the chapters in one day, can you use a chapter another day? Yeah, so with Shonen Jump, it's unlimited, except for you can only read up to 100 chapters a day.
Which most sane people don't read.
I read that this morning in like 2 hours. But yeah, so like
it's surprised how many, but it's not like unlimited or like your data where it rolls over. It doesn't do that, unfortunately. It's just a day. But honestly, it's within a 24 period, like it's okay. You're not going to read 100 chapters every day for, 3 months. It's okay.
Christine said last binge was Bly Manor, made me cry. Did not expect it was a love story. Yeah, it hits very different than Hill.
That is a wonderful, wonderful sentence at the end where it's like, I have one problem with your story. You should have called it a love story.
It was really good.
It was really good.
And the TikTok memes, Christina, about Bly Manor are very good. I saw one that was like, every queer woman has enough in their closet to dress up as either, oh gosh, one of the two main, like the gay girls or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no. That's true.
I do have a blue jean jacket.
Oh, sorry, Matthew. Anyone else getting a lot of buffering? All of America is probably watching YouTube coverage. Probably, yeah. I'm not. It's pointless. I lived through the last one thinking it was going to be one way. I trusted all of my statisticians. They were wrong. I will just I did my part. I'm ignoring it.
The very first election I voted
Kentucky
in,
was done.
Al Gore versus Bush. So I know this whole gambit thing. Like, I've been through the ringer a couple of times. So.
Martin asks, is the live action movie any good? I assume you're talking about Uzumaki. I remember looking at it and it didn't look like it was. I haven't seen it, so I'm not sure. But I think there's only so much that's achievable. Because Uzumaki is it's so unique, and I think the manga captures it well. I think an animated movie can capture it well. There's no way a live action can capture that. And from what I saw in the trailer, it looked like garbage. I'm dyslexic, so I read super slow. Perfect for reading calves. Oh, okay. See, I read super fast, but I think I admit it's hard for me to read slow. And I think maybe that's the ADHD, but I can't help myself.
Do you ever find yourself reading the same sentence over and over and over and over?
With textbooks, yes. With manga or comics, I tend to just continue.
Okay.
If I really think I'm missing something, I'll go back.
It?
I'll go back if I think I did process it.
Okay.
Who is Al Gore? It's a long time ago.
A long time ago. He was a vice president to Bill Clinton.
Final season of Shameless starts next month. Good job, you caught up. And you're going to hate this, Hayden, but I will not watch the next season until it's on Netflix. So you will be caught up and I will not be.
You got to binge. You got to binge stuff. And that, I think that may be a difference with how you rate things. That, interesting enough, coming full circle back to Promise Neverland, if you binge something and everything's fresh and current, it might leave a different impression on you versus if you're reading it chapter by chapter and letting that sort of like all the strings, keeping track of all the strings and everything that's going on. It might make a difference on how you.
Oh, that's for sure.
Yeah.
As someone who's caught up on One Piece, well, I now let them accumulate a little bit. So I'm a few months behind. But it is much harder to read that week to week than it was to consume a lot of it. It makes it a little less enjoyable sometimes for me.
Maddie, have you read Cat Diary?
Yes, it's so good.
I need to.
Girl, you gotta read it. It is hilarious. Like, oh man. Gary, you can't because Berserk is published by Dark Horse here and not Viz or Shonen Jump. So you can't, unfortunately. That's the bummer. If that was that available, I probably would have been able to join last week's show, but there's no time.
Oh, did Omar read Berserk last show?
Yeah, they did a review last week.
Man, I asked him to invite me when he was doing Berserk so I could read Berserk.
Oh, you gotta fight him. We'll do our own Berserk review.
I will never read it now. Thanks, Omar.
I didn't have enough time to pick up the book. So, and I didn't feel like reading illegally.
I mean, when you have legal avenues now, it makes a big difference.
It's just easier, honestly. It's just easier to do stuff legally. I grew up in another time.
Nowadays, it is absolutely far easier to actually do things legally than it is not. Like, maybe if I was like a broke, high school or middle school kid, I would take the avenue and jump through the hoops. But anymore, I'm just like, I'm an adult. I have legal Tinder. I work hard for this money. Let me blow it on stuff.
Yeah, I paid my dues. I was on LimeWire and everything else. Like, I've been there. It's fine. I have my illegally downloaded Monster. I'm good. I don't need anything else. and all of my ROMs.
Which rom-com, guys, because doing stuff the legal way is the best way.
The PSA from Tina. Well, I guess it's that time. Oh, hey, question. Favorite horror anime?
Favorite horror anime?
Oh, that's a tough question because I don't feel like there is a
I don't watch enough. I don't feel like there's enough, or at least it's not enough on the apps and things that I utilize because they're geared mainly towards children. I know there's horror anime. Oh, you know what?
Another was a good one. I recently watched that and I really enjoyed it.
Guys,
I feel like a lot of like 90s stuff horror works, like Demon City Shinjuku, or because I feel like it's weird, right? But I think 90s stuff was bloodier and grosser. Good stuff right now. And maybe it's the art style, but like that shit was gross. Like, you know what? Never mind. I can't think of an anime series, but as far as favorite horror anime, if I can think about movies, it would definitely be Perfect Blue for me. Anything's Toshikon. So I think Paranoia Agent as far as a show, probably, and then Perfect Blue as far as a movie. For sure.
Yeah, man, anime, it's just so hard because I don't feel like I watch enough. Like when I get my hands on it, I love it and I consume it, but there's just not enough to really keep in the forefront. Like there's animes that make you feel things, like weird things, like Angel's Egg, but that's not really quite a horror or anything like that. That it makes you feel like a weird feeling. Kind of like Akira. I wouldn't really classify, I mean, there's horror aspects to it, but it makes you feel something different. It's more suspense or something like that.
Christina mentioned that she was watching Monster on YouTube and it's gone now. Don't worry, Christina, I got the hookup.
Major sads.
We'll send you a link. I got you, girl. Got on Google Drive. Don't tell the feds. Don't tell the fuzz.
When they cry, yeah.
Okay. Devilman Crybaby. Yeah, I've been needing to watch that. Everyone says it's good, but I wasn't sure, like, because it got really popular right after it was released, like the newer anime version of that, and everyone was cosplaying it. But I didn't know if that meant it was good or not, so I didn't try it. But if you say it's good, I'll check it out. Oh, Christina says Serial Experiments Lane. Absolutely. Geo says Shiki. I never finished Shiki, but we have a friend who is
really want to watch Shiki.
Stat Boy Steve says Omar treats Tina like a secretary. It shows
he does. He's like, Tina, write that down. I'm like, I'm not gonna write that down.
I gotta get my hands on her behalf. It's the glasses. I think people just assume.
It
was a different world, Steve, back in the day when Tina was the only girl on the channel. It's a different time, you know? Now I'm here. Gio, I'd love to hear you talk to Tina and Maddie about manga and anime. Yeah. I'm down.
Yeah.
Gio's the anime manga guy of Omnibus Collectors Network.
Hey, I'd be down.
So, yeah, Tina's always down for that stuff.
I am. We could do whatever you want. We could read some old stuff too. That would be nice. Is reading some older stuff.
I've really been wanting to do a full like Clamp show because you have all the new editions of Clamp stuff being released.
Yeah,
well, like Chobits.
The 30th.
Has a new thing. Oh gosh, what else? Whatever. Anyway, a couple others getting nice like collections put out, and I think it would be really nice to have like a Clamp show because I read some when I was younger, but I'm not that caught up now. I think it'd be nice to go back now and like really dig into the Clamp universe. Gio, let me know. I'll join. Says Gio. Yeah. Oh, hey Gio, if you want, if you're interested, Chris and I are going to review The Promised Neverland and Chainsaw Man sometime this month. I'll have to check my Instagram to see when, and you're welcome to join if you're free. I think we're just reading Chainsaw Man because you said it was good. So it's past time. To have to return to work tomorrow after being off for 4 days. But Tina, this is really fun. I hope you join really again this month if you feel like it.
Hey, any time.
Okay.
Oh, you know what? I don't know if it would be considered horror. Sorry, I just thought of this. Gantz. Gantz was a really good one.
Gantz. Oh, yeah. That's
Gantz,
perfect.
Yes, that was perfect. Yeah.
Gantz is a great.
It's very adult. If you read the manga.
Gantz had an anime, right?
Yes. And they actually had a sort of CG, which wasn't bad. I actually watched that with my brother. So
I like the Gantz live action films a lot, and I like the manga.
Mm-hmm.
But I really like the live action.
Pretty adult. So I will say it is pretty adult. Omar, don't recommend that to your kids.
It has some of my favorite actors in it, like Kenichi Matsuyama. He played Light. That's right. I'm sorry. He played L in Death Note. He played the dad in Usagi Drop.
I don't want to talk about Usagi Drop.
Well, yeah, yep. It's because pedophilia part.
It was great until a certain point, and then you're just like, now drop it like a hot potato.
Yeah, thank you guys for joining. I'll go ahead and wrap it up. We'll be back next Tuesday. I'll probably check in on Saturday still in the live show just to say hi.
Hey guys. And if you like this, please like and subscribe. If you want to see more of me, let Omar know because I would be happy to join anytime, guys. I just feel like I need to be invited sometimes. So put that bug in his ear. What do you want?
We also, if you watch this later, comment down below. Tell us what you thought of Promise Neverland. Give us any recommendations for the future. Don't forget that if you are interested in voting for the Patreon pick, which is one of the 3 Gail Simone series, we do a Patreon. Link is down below. We have a Redbubble if you want to sport some near mint merch in the real world. You never know. Maybe you'll meet another Minty, or maybe if you live near me, I'll be like, oh, hey, what up? I'm not very observant though, so I probably wouldn't. Wouldn't even notice. And have a good night.
Definitely notice.
Take care of yourself. Take care of your mental health. Be safe.
Right. Don't stress. Enjoy, relax, and occasionally we all need our escapism like this. So it is fine and fun to indulge every once in a while. So take care of your sives.
Yourselves?
Yes.
Your sives? I'm the one drinking wine and Tina's sober. So I don't know. Is it that
I'm a shinigami now. Take care of your sives, guys. Gotta use them in the morning because this is anime talk.
Yeah. All right, guys. Have a good night. Thank you for a good time.
Thank you, guys.